seat. Adjust yourself up to the mic. You understand that you're now under oath and your answers will be sworn answers under penalty of perjury.
Yes, sir.
All right. You may proceed.
If you would introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen.
My name's Heath Smylie.
And Heath, we've met before today, that's right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you would, though, these ladies and gentlemen don't know you, so if you would just kind of tell them a little bit about how old you are.
39 years old. I'm a physical therapy assistant, and I've been Carly's stepdad for, it was almost, I guess, 3.5 years.
Tell me, excuse me, Heath, prior to March 19, 2024, who were you married to?
Ashley Smylie.
And when did you and Ashley Smylie meet?
It was the spring of 2019.
And at some point, did you and Ashley Smylie end up marrying each other?
We did in June of 2020.
Where'd y'all get married?
We actually went up to Gatlinburg when things opened back up after COVID.
Y'all like to take trips, be outside?
We did.
How old was Ashley Smylie when she passed?
She was 40.
And where did Ashley work?
She was at Northwest Rankin High School.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen kind of what Ashley looked like?
She was very small, about 5'1", 5'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, super nice, real smart.
May I approach the witness room? I'd ask you to look at that. Can you tell me what that is?
It's a picture that we took. I guess we were up in the Smokies somewhere. I'm not sure which one that one's from. Might have been last fall. I don't know.
And it's a photograph?
Mm-hmm.
And who's in that picture?
That's myself and my wife, Ashley.
Your Honor, we'd ask that be marked as the State Next Exhibit.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted as 7 all purposes.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Heath, I know that it's tough. I can't imagine what you're going through. But can you tell us, is the picture of Ashley that is in front of you, is that similar to the way she looked the last time you saw her alive?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about, you told us that, a little bit about Ashley's personality. I don't think there'll be any dispute that she loved being a school teacher, right? Loved her kids at school.
Yes.
Tell me about how much did Ashley love Carly?
They loved each other so much.
Previously married?
She had been, yes, ma'am.
And who was she married to?
Kevin Gregg.
And did Kevin and Ashley have any other children besides Carly?
She had a second child that passed several months or a year or so later from a genetic abnormality.
And her name was Natalie Gregg?
Yes.
And she had passed before you met Ashley, is that right?
Yes, years before.
What did you know about the relationship between Ashley and her ex-husband, Kevin Gregg?
Only some things that Ashley had told me here and there. Things didn't go well, and they ended up getting divorced.
And the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have seen some body cam footage of the day that your wife was murdered and you were shot. And on that, you mentioned that y'all were having some trouble with Kevin Gregg. Can you explain to us what was going on around that time?
I think he just liked trying to give Ashley trouble as much as he could through the legal system, any chance he could. I don't know exactly what all was going on, but they she had acquired someone to try to get him back into court about possibly changing up visitation stuff again.
Had Carly ever told you anything about Kevin Gregg using drugs?
Yes.
So he was a known drug user?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk to you, Heath, about, you told us about how much Ashley loved Carly and that Carly was basically her life. Tell us about yours and Carly's relationship before March 19, 2024.
We were always good. We laughed and played and messed around, loved video games, and took her to karate stuff until she kind of got tired of that, and she started going to guitar practice weekly, so I was taking her to that every week. We got along great.
You liked being a stepdad?
Yes.
Sometimes with children comes discipline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you say, or how would you describe the type of parent that Ashley was to Carly?
She was, like I said, always thinking about Carly and just Carly's first no matter what. She would do anything in the world for her and would try to get the best for her every day.
Were there times that you and Ashley would have to punish Carly?
Of course.
Give us some examples of that, Heath.
She had troubles growing up with back and forth with the stepdad and everything, so she would always wanting to try to make friends at the house and around home. And Ashley was always trying to, keep an eye on her, make sure she was okay and knew where she was. And Ashley had to fuss at her a time or two about, I know you can't go here, you can't go there, it's too late, that kind of thing. But she never really, day to day, got in trouble, really.
I want to ask you, was there a time that a boy named Thad came over to y'all's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen what you recall about that day?
We were all sitting at the house and there was a knock at the door, and Ashley checked the doorbell camera and we didn't know who it was. Carly had talked to us about Dad and we knew who it was, we just didn't have a face to the name. And Carly saw who it was and didn't want to see him, so I went to the door and just said, I'm sorry, I told him he must have the wrong house, and came back in and shut the door.
Where were Ashley and Carly when you were at the front door with Thad?
They went around, I guess, into the hallway or maybe one of the bedrooms, I'm not sure.
At any point, did it appear that Ashley was physically holding Carly back from going to the front door?
No.
At any time after you told told Thad that Carly didn't live there, did Carly act like she was upset with you?
No.
Did she act like she was upset with Ashley?
No.
Do you think that she would have been mad enough to have said, like, she almost murdered y'all because you wouldn't let Thad come in the house?
That's not the feeling I got from it at all.
I want to talk to you about back in 2021. Carly would have been in middle school, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Were they living in the house with you?
Yes,
Carly
ma'am.
and Ashley? Carly was in the 7th grade, I think, then?
Sounds right, yes.
Was there an incident where Carly got in trouble for bringing a knife to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about what you know about that.
All I know is we had ordered some stuff off Amazon, and since she loved doing all the arts and crafts and stuff in her room all the time, making stuff, I showed her a Swiss Army knife I had found on Amazon, like I had when I was young, and she decided on a color of one she wanted, and I ordered it for her, and she used it all the time in her room. And then all of a sudden one day I found out she had it at school in her pocket and somehow got in trouble with it. And I don't know what happened, but they said they couldn't tell us much more at the school about it, and that's about all I know on it.
Yeah. So the knife was in Carly's pocket, not in her book bag. Is that right?
I was understanding it was in her pocket from that morning when she was using it, but
and then you didn't actually go to the school for any type of hearing in regards to that, right?
no.
That would have been something that Ashley handled.
If she went up there for that, I don't remember it. No, she might have. I don't know.
What did Carly tell you, or how many days did Carly tell y'all that she had actually brought the knife to school?
I thought it was just that day.
What was the result of her bringing the knife to school?
They have a zero tolerance policy on that and sent her to an alternative school until I think it was that Christmas break and let her come back.
So she had to spend time at the alternative school as a discipline.
Yes.
What, if anything, Heath, do you know about another time that Carly got in trouble at school for cheating?
That was, I can't remember if it was this past spring semester or when it was. Everything is kind of run together on exactly when. But at some point, she has always complained to us that kids constantly bug her for help with schoolwork because she can do all of it so easily and she can explain it to them better than most teachers. And she got so tired of them coming to her for stuff. Somebody just dared her or something. I'm not sure what. And apparently the teacher had a book or a computer or something open, and she took a picture with her phone of whatever was open up there.
Was it like the answers to a test or something like that? Something
like that. I'm not sure exactly what now, but yes.
And then she shared those answers with other kids?
I assume so, yes ma'am.
This is at the same school that Ashley taught at?
Yes.
How, from pure observations, how did Ashley respond when that happened?
She was just upset that she had done that, and she, talked to her about, can't be cheating, can't be letting others talk you into things. Just going with the flow of kids is not a good idea usually. So.
Heath, were there other, we talked about Thad, was there another boy that Carly was in some sort of dating relationship with that y'all knew about?
She had been dating Anthony. Honestly forgot his last name right now.
That's okay, but you and Ashley knew about him?
Yes ma'am.
Had he been to y'all's house before?
Yes ma'am.
Was there any time that you or Ashley told Carly, hey, you need to end this relationship with him?
I didn't get into a lot of that. Ashley had talked with Carly about him and, some of the things that was going on, and they had supposedly ended it.
I believe you told, do you recall telling law enforcement that there were times that you and Ashley both would go through Carly's phone?
Yes, we tried to keep an eye on her.
Was there ever a time that you or Ashley took Carly's phone away from her?
So Ashley had the parental controls on her phone, and we got to where we weren't going to let her take it into her room when it was bedtime. We had to keep it like on the kitchen counter, or we'd keep it in our bedroom sometimes. But she had her phone most of the time, so she could be able to call or text us if needed. She might have not let her take it to school some days. I can't remember exactly, but most of the time when she goes out and about, she had the phone, even if Ashley locked down some parental controls for a little while.
Why was it that y'all didn't want Carly to have the phone in her room at night?
She was worried that she would stay on it and messing with it and not sleep.
Was there ever a time after y'all thought that Carly had broken up with her boyfriend that y'all learned that in fact she had not broken up with him?
So Ashley worked at the school, and she told me she had still seen them, in the hall together, walking up and down the hall and things. And she talked to me about it and was like, she was okay with it and everything, as long as, it was okay and nothing harmful was coming of it for Carly.
Heath, do you recall a time that you and Ashley discovered that Carly had an iPod that she was using to communicate with people?
Yes, that was another thing that her dad had talked her into doing to get around communication. He was, I think, kind of paranoid about everything, and that Ashley might have been controlling Carly's communication with him, even though she always left those communication channels open, even when she locked down the phone.
Did it appear to y'all that she was in fact talking to her dad on the iPod?
I don't think so.
Who was she communicating with?
I'm not sure if she was communicating with kids so much as she was on like TikTok and some of that kind of stuff.
And y'all had asked her not to be on those accounts?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was, Heath? Around what time of year?
I don't remember that.
Was there ever a time that you and Ashley learned that Carly had been cutting her thighs with a knife?
Yes, and I was trying to think of a time frame on that, but it was, I don't know when, several months back, maybe a year.
And Heath, do you know anything about Carly taking any sleeping pills?
Nothing other than she used to sleep like a rock, and Ashley always had sleeping trouble, and she would take a melatonin at night, and it was a week or so she had a bad cold, and she was taking some NyQuil. I think she said that helped out some too. So
around the time that y'all found the iPod and Carly was cutting her thighs, is that about the same time that Ashley took her for therapy for anxiety and stress?
Within, I don't know, I think that was maybe a couple months maybe before, it seems like.
Is that your understanding, though? That's what you told law enforcement of why Carly was in therapy, was anxiety and stress?
Yes, ma'am, it was something like that. I think she was kind of depressed some days.
And I think you told them that there were times that you would go maybe to the therapist's office with her, but you weren't actually sitting in any of those appointments, were you?
No, ma'am. I went up there with them a couple of times, but it was kind of a little waiting room outside.
And you don't have any personal knowledge about any medication that was prescribed, do you?
Not until after this. I knew she'd been on one, and they changed her up to something else.
You don't have any knowledge on whether or not Carly was actually taking that medicine, do you?
She had been taking one a day, I think, until they wanted to swap her up to a different one. So I'm not sure on the time frames on that. I'm sure it's in the record somewhere.
Yeah, and Heath, so I've been prescribed medicine before, and sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. Did you actually physically see Carly taking her medication?
Ashley would have her go get it and make sure she was taking the whatever it was, one a day or whatever. She kept an eye on that.
Do you know if on March the 19th, 2024, did you see Carly take any medicine?
The 19th?
Yeah, March the 19th of 2024.
No, ma'am. Not that afternoon.
The morning.
Oh, no. I don't know about that morning. She usually would take it in the evening when she ate.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, that was a bad question. So Carly would actually
Yeah.
take her medicine in the afternoon.
I think so.
Okay. When's the last time that you saw your wife alive, Heath?
That was the morning of the 19th.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen kind of how that morning went?
Everything seemed just as normal as ever. She got up and went to work just like always. She would fix tea or something in the morning and get in the car and take off. Nothing seemed unusual at all.
Did you also see Carly that morning?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what, if anything, you noticed about Carly that morning?
Didn't notice anything different.
How would Ashley get to work every morning?
She'd drive her and Carly down to the school.
And then how would they both ride back together from school to the house?
Yes.
Did they usually leave, or on March the 19th, did they leave before you or after you that morning?
Usually a couple minutes before.
What about, not on the 19th, but on a regular day, would they get home before or after you got home from work?
They were always home before me unless something happened at my work and I was able to get out a minute early, which is very rare.
What time would they usually get home from school?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know, I guess school was out maybe 3:15, I don't know. And it's whatever traffic allows, 15 minutes or something up the road maybe.
Typically, what time do you get home from work?
It varies. Usually I get out of work about 4:30, and sometimes I hit that evening traffic and it's 20 minutes or so before I make it 3 or 4 miles to the house.
And where is your house?
Right off of Bullfanning out in Farmington Station.
That's here in Rankin County?
Yes, ma'am, out towards the reservoir.
And the distance from where you work to where you live is probably only about 5 miles, right?
Yeah, it's not far. It's just morning and evening traffic takes a little while.
Do you know if Ashley and Carly were at school all day on March the 19th?
As far as I know.
I want to ask you, Heath, were there times that you and Ashley would text each other on your cell phone?
Yes.
Do you recall talking to Ashley on March the 19th?
I don't recall, other than that evening I got a text saying she was going to go to the grocery store.
Permission to break some intern. Keep that handed back to you. If you don't mind, if you'll look through those messages, please.
Okay.
Do those, and admittedly, these are not all of the messages between you and Ashley Smylie forever, are they?
Right.
Does this appear to be a true and accurate copy of the messages starting at 4:30 that day when she's talking to you about going to Kroger?
It seems to be.
And are we to ask that these messages be marked as the state's next exhibit?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted essay.
It starts at think it says 320. Yeah.
And thank you, Heath. You corrected me.
Back.
Yeah, I apologize, Heath. You're right. The first message I was looking at was actually from the day before. I'm sorry, on 3/18. So on the bottom.